Hello, this is Dr. Do again. This video is outside of medicine. Continue the viewing history through reading. I'm going to continue to read. So the priest shall then take some of the log of oil, pour it in the palm of his own left hand, dip his right forefinger into the oil in his palm, and with his finger sprinkle some of it before the Lord 7 times. The priest is to put some of the oil remaining in his palm on the lobe of right ear of the one who to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on top of the blood of the guilt of offering. The rest of the oil in his palm the priest shall put on the head of the one to be cleansed, and make atonement for him before the Lord. Then the priest is to sacrifice the sin offering and make atonement for the one to be cleansed from his uncleanness. After that, the priest shall slaughter the burnt offering and offer it on the altar, together with the grain offering, and make atonement for him, and he will be clean. If, however, he is poor and cannot afford this, he must take 1 male lamb as a guilt offering to be waved to make atonement for him, together with 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering, a log of oil, and 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, which he can afford, one for sin offering and the other for burnt offering. On the 8th day he must bring them for his cleansing to the priest at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Before the Lord, the priest is to take the lamb for the guilt offering, together with the log of the oil, and wave them before the Lord as a waving offering. He shall slaughter the lamb for the guilt offering, and take some of his blood and put it on the lobe of the right ear of the one to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, on the big toe of his right foot. The priest is to pour some of the oil into the palm of his own left hand, and with his right forefinger sprinkle some of the oil from his palm 7 times before the Lord. Some of the oil in his palm he is to put on the same places, and he puts the blood on the guilt offering, on the lobe of the right ears of one to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. The rest of the oil in his palm the priest shall put on the head of the one to be cleansed, to make atonement for him before the Lord. Then he shall sacrifice the dove or the young pigeons, which the person can afford, one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering, together with the grain offering. In this way, the priest will make atonement before the Lord on behalf of the one to be cleansed. These are the regulations for anyone who has an infectious skin diseases and who cannot afford the regular offering for his cleansing. Cleansing from mildew. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "When you enter the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as your possession, and I put a spreading mildew in the house in the land, the owner of the house must go and tell the priest, 'I have seen something that looked like mildew in my house.' The priest is to order the house to be emptied before he goes in to examine the mildew, so that nothing in the house will be pronounced unclean. After this, the priest is to go in and inspect the house. He is to examine the mildew on the walls, and if it has greenish or reddish depressions that appear to be deeper than the surface of the wall, the priest shall go out the doorway of the house and close it up for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall return to inspect the house. If the mildew has spread on the walls, he is to order that the contaminating stones be torn out and thrown into the unclean place outside the town. He must have all the inside walls of the house scraped, and the material that is scraped off dumped into the unclean place outside the town. Then they are to take other stones to replace this and take a new clay and plaster the house. If the mildew disappears in the house after the stone have been torn out and the house scraped and plastered, the priest is to go and examine it, and if the mildew has spread in the house, it is a destructive mildew. The house is unclean. It must be torn down. Its stones, timbers, and all the plaster, and take out of the town to an unclean place. Anyone who goes into the house while it is closed up will be unclean till evening. Anyone who sleeps or eats in the house must wash his clothes. But if the priest comes to examine it and the mildew has not spread after the house has been plastered, he shall pronounce the house clean, because the mildew is gone. To purify the house, he is to take 2 birds and some cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop. He shall kill one of the birds over fresh water in a clay pot. Then he is to take the cedar wood, the hyssop, the scarlet yarn, and the living bird, dip them into the blood of the dead bird and the fresh water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. He shall purify the house with the bird's blood, the fresh water, the live bird, and cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet yarn. Then he is to release the living bird in the open field outside the town. In his way he will make atonement for the house, and it will be clean. These are the regulations for any infectious skin diseases, for an itch, for mildew in clothing or in house, and for swelling, a rash or bright spot, to determine when something is clean or unclean. These are the regulations for infectious skin diseases and mildew. Discharges causing uncleanness. Chapter 15. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when any man has bodily discharge, the discharge is unclean, whether it's continuous flowing from his body or it's blocked, it will make him unclean. This is how his discharge will bring about uncleanness. Any bed the man with the discharge lies on will be unclean, and anything he sits on will be unclean. Anyone who touches his bed must wash his clothes and bath with water, and he will be unclean till evening. Whoever sits on anything that the man with the discharge sat on must wash his clothes and bath with water, and he will be unclean until evening." So I'm going to stop here today and continue next time. Thank you for watching.